All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest, and we have a very special guest today, a very cool, exciting guest. We have Shawn Tanuvasa, Keanu Tanuvasa's father. Very excited to have him here, Shawn. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Joseph. I appreciate you giving me a chance to be spotlighted on your show. You're the man with the great show, so thanks for having me on.
Hey, thank you very much, man. Well, you're the one everyone's talking about right now. So
Yeah,
you and your son, obviously.
unfortunately, not always positive. So I'm glad to be with you.
Yeah, and by the way, I do want to just let you know. I know I might have said some stuff in my video this morning that might have been pushing it a little. I tried to, play the line, not being any disrespectful or anything like that. But I also just want to say I know last week when it did happen, there were some really weird over the line comments towards Keanu, and it was just weird, right? He was like, "Hey, why you guys are getting a little too into this?" And I just want you to know, like, as a guy that follows the fan base a ton, I don't think any of those are people are reflective. And sorry that you guys had to go through that.
No.
It was very weird. So
Well, first of all, hey, listen, Joseph, if I thought what you were saying were out of line, I would not give you a time of day. But I don't feel you're that. I honestly don't feel you're that way. You've got your opinion. You're going to state how you're going to state it. And like I made one post where I said, um, Utah fans, this is 1%. I don't believe 99% of the Utah fans are this negative.
yeah.
It's 1%, and it is what it is. Everybody has their opinion, so I'm okay with that.
No, for sure. And there was a few pretty big pages, but they're not any mainstream pages or anything. So it is what it is, and I won't even say their name because I don't want to give them publicity for being so weird about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyways, well, let's talk about what everyone wants to hear about from you is obviously your son got an awesome opportunity and is transferring over to BYU from Utah. Why don't you touch a little bit on what had new entering the portal, Keanu entering the portal, and just kind of tell us about that story.
Okay, so as I mentioned to you in our dialogue as we were texting each other or messaging each other through your YouTube account, I mean, look, his NIL deal came in the email. He was, unbeknownst to me and my wife, he was ready to go. He posted his thing till the day I die. Right? There was no questioning about where he was, his loyalty, his desires, his future. He was hoping to leave into the draft this year, but the injuries held him back. So he said, "I'm going to come back again. I'm gonna represent." I mean, we were told a lot of things about who Keanu could be for this team, and we were excited for it and happy for him and looking forward to it. All of a sudden, 3 days after he received his NIL offer, he negotiated it. Everything was good. He didn't sign it. And I asked him, he called me, he's like, "Dad, I didn't sign the NIL deal." And I was like, "Why not?" And this was 3 days after he received the email. And he says, "I don't know. I don't know. I'm just holding on to it right now." And so I was like, "Well, what's the problem?" And he said, "There's no problem." And I said, "Is it the amount?" He's like, "No, I'm good with it." And I said, "We can go back and talk." And he's like, "No, I'm good with it." I said, "Okay." So this is weird, bro, because this is not in the mix. And he's like, "I know, I don't get it, but this is what I feel I should do." So I mean, he's 22 years old. When he was 15, I would say to him, "It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you feel. This is the way you need to go." He's 22. It's now my turn to sit back and say, "You decide, son. You decide your life, what you want to do." And another 2, 3 days went by. We talked again. He still felt the same way. And then he mentioned the portal. And that's when, I mean, I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm a Utah fan, true and true, bro. I love Utah.
Yeah.
I have pictures of New and Witt. And Witt was my coach when I played. And I have pictures of New and Witt when he was 8. If you went back to his life, 9, 10, 11, 12, you looked in his room, it was all colored red. I mean, he knew what he wanted, and that's where he was going to go. Um, and so this was weird. It was hard, and we have no blue. We own no blue in my house. There's no blue
Sounds
shirt.
like it might have been harder for you.
Well, no, I'm telling you, Joseph. My
Yeah.
wife and I, we tossed and turned in bed, not with the idea he was going to BYU. It was the idea he was going in the portal.
Hmm.
That's what got us turning, and that was the first wave that came, and we supported him. He said, I feel like this is what the Lord would want me to do. And we said, okay. And we believe that, we want to try to do what Heavenly Father wants us to do. And so we're going to do it. And he decided to do that. And we supported him. That's how he got in the portal. Now, did he pay his respect and talk to the coaches before he put his name in the portal? Absolutely. We wouldn't have it any other way, right? He talked to all the coaches. And there was a lot of tears shed, man. There was a lot of tears on both sides because this was very, very different than what was planned. So at that point, uh, he got in, and we started getting calls. Some of the reports of him talking to Michigan and SC, that they were hitting him up, but he wasn't talking to them. Um, he wasn't. Everybody was hitting him up. He was talking to Texas, and he was talking to Coach Trey at Georgia. That's where his conversations were. Then BYU got in the mix, and he started talking to BYU a little bit. So those were the three areas that he stayed with. And at that point, everything was in circles. It was a whole tornado thing, man, and social media was going crazy. And I mean, we really struggled. We fasted, we prayed, we tried to do everything spiritually we could possibly do to ease the pain, but it just continued for a little while, and so he didn't make a decision at all. That entire week was that weekend. Friday was when he decided to go in the portal. Saturday, we made sure we double checked on Saturday. Sunday, we were like double check again, triple check it. Is this the right thing? And then Sunday night he talked to the coaches, and Monday morning, boom, is when he put his name in the portal, and then that's when everything went crazy. So, what
Yeah.
questions do you have up to that point, Joseph?
No, that was great info. And I think you're right, where a lot of people were talking about SC and Michigan. It's interesting for us to find, to hear about Georgia and Texas and BYU were more than BYU, SC and Michigan. So that's cool insight. Um, I would say outside of that, if you want to just touch on, obviously I've commented on it a lot, but if anyone's close to the source. Oh, one comment though, it's funny. I have a really little kid, so I'm in the opposite situation. My kid's 4, and little kids always ask you like, "Hey, can I drive the car? Like, can I do this?" And I always tell him maybe when you're 15. And it's funny you said 15, like he's
Yeah.
not. For me, my guy, 15 is like old. Very cool. But yeah. So why don't you touch on a little? Obviously, there's been a lot of comments about the NIL offer. And where was Utah at? Was Utah less than BYU? Why don't you just give us what you can give? Obviously, don't go too
Yeah.
into detail, but what you
Yeah.
feel comfortable with.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. Uh, the SEC is real, man. What they have and what they offer is real. But Coach Trey, the D line coach at Georgia was like, he's like, look, if you want to come here for $1 million, $1.5 million, 2 million, we don't want you. We don't want you. But I mean, can we get the kind of money? Yeah. But if you want to come here to be a dog and you want a ball, we want you. And that's what Coach Trey said. And that's the truth. And that's why New was interested in Georgia. He was very interested in Georgia and entertained that like big time. He's talking to Coach Trey on Christmas Eve night. Christmas Eve night, Coach Trey's like, hey, look, man, I got 2 little kids. They're in the other room. It's Christmas Eve. I'm spending my time with
That's
you
cool.
because we're serious. And to me, that's a lot of love. There was a lot of love there from Georgia, and so that's why he was serious about Georgia. Um, so when BYU came in and what they offered in the NIL was as competitive as Utah, and that was part of my point of what I was trying to say was I don't want people thinking Utah can't compete. That's the first thing. They can compete with anybody out there. They've got the means to do so. And when they talk to Noon that Sunday night and even on other days, there was opportunities for even more than what BYU was offering. There was even opportunities for more of it. So to me, I'm like, stop saying things that's not true when Utah is a great program, great coaches, and they have a great NIL uh, uh, revenue sharing that they're doing that's making a difference. I mean, heck, look at who all the guys they're getting on the offensive side, which is part of the reason why I had a hard time with me going in the portal. That's a whole nother story, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as the NIL, without saying a dollar amount, we don't need to say a dollar amount. Utah is as competitive, and people who are Utah fans like me, you need to be happy with where they're at and what they're doing because they got a good program and it's going to keep growing, right? Family's going to do what family's going to do. Blood comes first, right? But I'm also a Utah fan, and I'm working on becoming a BOU fan. Like I'm
Good
gonna
luck
get
with that.
there.
Good
I'm
luck.
gonna get there because I got to cheer for my son, and eventually I'll own blue clothes in my house. But um, as far as the NIL deal, that's the deal.
For sure. No,
Be grateful for the program that Utah's established. It's great. It's fantastic, and they were offering equal and more to New. Not because New's the guy. I'm trying to tell you, it has nothing to do with New's the man and no. You know what? He's a player. It takes 11 people to win a game on the defensive side. That's just the facts. And New's one of 11, right? So people get blow this out of proportion, like the Tanuvasas are thinking, oh, New's the only guy. No, he's a player, man, and he has a position he plays, and everybody's got to play their role in order for a team to win. But let's not think less of who Utah is, nor their coaches, because I love them to death, and I would give them everything, man, because I love them to death. So that does that answer your question when it comes to the NIL?
yeah, man. I think it's hard not to like you. I'll tell you that much. If Utah fans are watching this video, it's hard not to like you. And I haven't talked to Keanu Tanuvasa at all, but if he's anything like you, he must be a cool guy. So I think it's hard not to like you after talking to you, man. Anything else you want to tell people before we get out of here, Shawn?
Um, I just want to say that this is a family situation. We moved because we support New. New really felt that his next development as a person, he needed to go to BYU. That's what it was. Not as a game. Coach Powell, man, Coach Ellis, are you kidding me? Some of the best that we have in the state. Coach Scally, there's no question about it. But you also got to look at Coach Poua. He's another guy that offers a lot, right? And Coach Kalani offers a lot. So we have great coaches on both sides. And for New, it was about developing himself as a person, not as a game player. That was secondary. And so he chose BYU because of that. He felt like I needed to develop more as a player. There's reports about him. The NIDL also gave him a wife. Like where he proposed on Monday night. I thought that was funny. I'm like, no, bro,
Yeah.
that didn't. I mean, if we're sticking with the Mormon thing, right, he would have gotten five of them, right? So he's only getting one, and she's going to school up north. She's not going to school down south. So this all this stuff, that's out there. I want people to understand that we love Utah. We will come to love BYU. And I already have thus far with my interaction with them. I already love Pu'ua. I had a good relationship with him and Kalani. I knew him from when we were like 6 years old back in Laie. So, Joseph, I know you do a good thing and I appreciate everything that you're doing. I just want people to understand that when I make my comments, I'm trying to support both sides. I'm trying to highlight both sides.
Yeah.
I do have one thing I want to say. This is towards you.
Oh
And
no.
if you want to put this on, you can. You want to delete it, you can. But here's what it is.
Depends what you're gonna say, but we'll see.
Here's what it is. PFF grades are absolutely vital for understanding a person's position and his ability. So when you provide those details, that's one of the reasons why I love watching you, is because you provide those details that nobody else does. Um, However, there are some positions like an O line and a D line, particularly D tackles, those things they don't matter as much because if New's going to be a disruptor and be able to allow other people to make the plays, then his grades are sufficient enough to be a baller, right? He may not get the sacks or the tackles and over, but if he's disrupting the play, that's huge. You can't beat that, right? As a linebacker, your tackling better be up. That's part of your position is to make sure you're that way. As a D tackle who's playing a 2-eye, he's playing a 1 or a 2-eye, you're gonna get double teamed, bro. You've got to hold your gap so that somebody else can be free. So that's my only take is I saw your podcast on him. I didn't comment on it. I was like, Joseph, I respect and love you, bro. You know I
Yeah,
do, man. And so, but that's my opinion on defending my son is that a D tackle is a disruptor first, holding gaps, and then allowing the rest to make plays. But
for
you're
sure,
good,
dude.
bro. I love you,
No,
man.
for sure.
I
And
love
just so
what you
you
do,
know,
bro.
just so you know, with like when I was breaking down Keanu, I made sure multiple times to say that he is a good player.
No, I
Because
agree.
you go back a year when no one knew who he was or no one was talking, people knew who he was, but he wasn't like the guy everyone was talking about.
Yeah,
I felt like I was one of the
you
first
did.
ones to start to
You
say
did. You
he's
were.
really good. Yeah.
You were, bro. I
So,
remember that. I remember that. You were the guy. Joseph, thank you so much, bro. Any other questions you want to ask for the fans?
no, I am good, man. Yeah, and I appreciate you a ton, Shawn. And I think it's been really cool to have you on, even just to get the perspective of what it's like to be a part of the family and go through this NIL situation. I think it's a ton of fun, man. So, guys, make sure you follow Shawn on X. Make sure you follow my page on X. Like the video. Comment down below what your thoughts are. I think it's been really awesome to have you on. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I'm out of here. Hopefully, wish Keanu nothing but the best, except when they're playing Utah. We are out of here, guys.
I don't. You're right, bro. I would stick. I play cheer for your team, bro. You're exactly right. But I'll probably be wearing. My wife already told me she's gonna have a half blue and half red jersey
That's
on.
what I
That's
was
what she's
thinking.
gonna. So hey, for us, I'm telling you, go Cougs, man. We love them. We're gonna do the best we can to support them.
Cool. Awesome, guys. We're
All
out
right.
of here. Go
Thanks,
Utes.
Joseph. Okay, bro.